Hi, everybody. My name is Brad Charles. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you, Freddie. Appreciate those kind words. Thank you very much. Steve, and everyone, thanks for praying me up. Hope God heard you. I was thinking this morning's daily reflection talks about walking through fear. I did a bunch of walking today. I'm not so sure I got rid of this fear, all that walking I did. But I'm glad to be here tonight. I appreciate being asked to do anything here in the home group, and I'm always appreciative of getting up here and trying to tell my story. Tell you a little bit what it was like in a general way, what happened and what it's like today. I hope if there's anyone out there struggling with quitting drinking, pay attention, because that's I struggled big time. I hope maybe you can identify with some of the struggles that I'm about to share with tonight. I just struggled getting sober. I just couldn't quit drinking. At the beginning, gosh, I grew up in a little conservative Christian family in a little town outside of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a little town called Landisville. We went to church, went to a conservative Mennonite church every Sunday. I was exposed to a God very early in life, had always believed, and I've always believed in that God from the time I was taught about him as a child. No alcohol in the house, never saw mother and father never drank. I have an older brother and sister. I never saw them drink. Somehow they did youth fellowship and did this way, and I got in the 9th grade. I got caught smoking in school and went that way. I was a little rascal from the very beginning. I don't know why. I was always getting in trouble. I was always getting a spanking. In the kitchen, my mother had what was called the Board of Education hanging in the kitchen. And that thing wore my butt out a bunch of times. And then when Daddy would come home at the end of the day, the magic words were, "Why, you little rascal, you," as he's pulling his belt off. Those were the magic words. And man, oh man, I got more lickings as a little kid. I don't know, it's just the way it was. I don't know. Growing up, through elementary school, through junior high, I was a good student. I was a good athlete. I loved sports. I played a lot of sports. I wrestled, played baseball, played basketball. But after getting caught smoking in the lavatory in school, that ended my academics and certainly ended my athletic career also. Struggled the rest of the way through high school. My mom and dad got divorced when I was 13 years old. I think even today, that had a big influence on me at that time. For the next probably, 30 or so years, I hated my dad. I just hated my dad. Once I found out what happened, I went to live with my mother. We went to a new school district. I went from the school district. I was popular. I played sports to this other school district where I just had a hard time making friends. I just struggled with grades. I was just thankful to graduate to get out of that school. As soon as I get out of school, my first thing I wanted to do was get out of the house and leave home. I went to work at the racetrack with the racehorses at the age of 17. As soon as I got out of high school, my cousin had racehorses and went to work for him. What the day looked like, we'd get up sometimes 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning to get to the racetrack, to get the horses all fed in the morning and then unbandaged and get them out training. And by 10:30, 11 o'clock, morning was over. We'd do up, feed lunch. And if we weren't racing that day or that night, had the rest of the afternoon off till I had to come back and feed at night. And what everyone did was go to the bar after work. And I'm a young punk, 17 years old. I certainly wanted to fit in, and that's exactly what I did. I became a daily drinker at the age of 17. I looked throughout my drinking career. The only days I did not drink, I was too physically sick to get it down. But I was a daily drinker at the age of 17. I didn't know anything about alcoholism at the age of 17, but I know today I absolutely drank alcoholically from the very beginning. I drink just like the big book said. I love the effect produced by alcohol. I don't remember my first drink. Looking back, I don't remember. I remember as kids, we used to get together at this kid's house and sleep overnight, and his mom would go out and get us a 6-pack of beer as long as we stayed in the basement all night. I remember that, but I don't remember the first drink I ever took. But I do remember what it felt like going to those bars every day after work. I just loved what alcohol did. And for the next, I think I drank for 29, 30 years. I never had any consequences from my drinking. Had none. I was lucky I never got caught. I drove drunk all the time, never had DWI, never spent a night in jail for my drinking. I was just lucky I never got caught. I just never had any consequences. Fast forward, after working at the racetrack for about 7, 8 years, I moved back to the Harrisburg, Hershey area and worked construction for a couple years. I got laid off one winter, and the bar I used to hang out and drink at, they sponsored our softball team, our basic softball team, so I was a regular there every day as it was, and they needed a bartender, so I became a bartender, part-time bartender, and I turned into full-time, and my drinking went that way. Once I was behind that bar, and I was encouraged to a point, to drink while I was back there, to drink with customers, and then, boy, that's exactly what I did. I think it's in Dr. Bob's story, he said something about he was either cursed or blessed with the amount of alcohol he could drink. I could hold my liquor. I could hold my beer and liquor pretty darn good for a little punk. And I managed to hold that job for, 3 or 4 years. I moved down here, I think in 1987. I got a job tending bar at the Jefferson, and then got a job on a horse farm shortly after that, and I was tending bar part-time, and I started, wound up sort of went in business for myself. I'd always worked with the horses, and I started a little business, a little fencing business out in the horse country. And it started out part-time when I was tending bar, and pretty soon I had enough work, I gave up the bartending and started to do my fencing job full-time. Was quite fortunate with that. One thing I did, I always tried to not control my drinking, but not let you know how much I drank. I was always trying to hide how much I drank. Not that I drank, but how much I drank. And I could do that with everybody except my wife. That's basically when it sort of came to a head. Again, I never had any consequences. No one ever approached me about my drinking, ever. I never thought about quitting drinking. That was just not a thought. That was not a thought I ever had. But now my last debacle was a customer of hers had a vacation condo down in the Cayman Islands, right on 7 Mile Beach. It was unbelievable. And I promised Mary Ann, she was scared to go. She was, because my drinking had gotten so bad. And I promised, and that's the first time I'd ever promised her that I wasn't going to drink. I made the non-alcoholic beer for 2 days. That's what I bought. I bought a non-alcoholic Heineken. About the second or third day, I found a tiki bar about a quarter of a mile up the beach. Well, every hour now I'm taking a walk, and by the end of the week, I was an absolute mess, and she was quite angry. And I remember we came home that one Friday night. Got up Saturday morning. We're sitting out on the porch, and she was crying and in tears, and I knew I'd done something the night before, but I didn't know what. And she said, "You need to do something about your drink, and basically you're out of here." And that's pretty much an ultimatum she gave me. And again, that was the first time that anyone had ever approached me about my drinking. Never thought. That was a thought that never entered my mind, I can promise you. That Monday morning, went to see my family doctor. We both went. He said, there's a meeting. There's an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting at the First Baptist Church on Monday night at 8 o'clock. Maybe you want to try that. So October the 1st of 2000, I showed up here at my first AA meeting. We were downstairs in the other part of the church. Don't remember a lot about that meeting. I know I remember I was drinking before, driving around the block before I got in here. And don't remember, like I said, I don't remember anything about that meeting. And I know as soon as we got done praying, I tried to bolt out the door, and two guys came over and sort of blocked the door, basically. Is what happened. Stephen Whalen. And some reason I went back again Thursday. And I'm not sure to this day why. I continue to go. I continue to come to meetings. There was an attraction. I couldn't have told you at that time what it was. But I continued to drink. I'd go, a lot of you don't, I'd go 2 days and I'd drink again. I'd go 4 days, I'd drink again. I might get a week and I'd drink again. And I'd go 2 more days, I'd drink again. I couldn't stop drinking. When I came here, I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to stop drinking. But if anyone out there has come to AA meetings and continues to drink, you know what goes on up here and what goes on down here. I was just an absolute mess, and I finally got to the point where I wanted to quit, and I just couldn't. I desperately wanted to quit. I believe with all my heart, getting sober is all about following directions from people who've already done it. And I didn't follow any directions at all. I was the one that picked up the phone and called my sponsor after I started drinking. I did that many times. I know he'd always ask me, "Did you say a prayer?" And I can't say that I remember. I'm sure I probably did not. But I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop. Little story. I was here every Monday and Thursday night, but I used to go to Vassal on Wednesday nights, and Friday nights I used to go over here to the Episcopal Church. There was a great meeting there for some reason. I just loved that meeting. There was a lot of sobriety in that place. And I felt comfortable there, and for some reason, that meeting. And Dave Cook, one night, he asked me, he said, "You want to lead the discussion next Friday night?" I said, "Sure, I can lead it, sure." Said, I don't know when, sometime between that Friday and the following Friday, I talked to my sponsor and told him what I was doing, and he said, "No, you're not." So I had to call Dave up and tell him that I couldn't chair the meeting on Friday night. And he said, "Well, why not?" I said, "Well, my sponsor said I hadn't been sober long enough." He said, "Well, how long have you been sober?" I said, "Well, 5 days." That's just the way it was. And I finally got to the point where I couldn't. I was just an absolute mess up here. I was an absolute mess. My sponsor suggested I go away to treatment. I said, "Whoa, wait a minute." Place down in Rockingham called Samaritan Colony, and Steve and a good friend called Reeves Kelly, he used to be a wonderful member of this group, drove me down there. And if you're going to Samaritan Colony, you just go right down Route 1 until you hit 220, take a right, and it takes you right there. Well, that's not how we went. We went through some little town called Derby. We were on Thunder Road, this dirt road, another dirt road. I'm thinking, where in the world are you guys taking me? It was just, boy, oh boy. And I'll tell you what, pulling in that treatment center was, you talk about fear. That's probably as scary as I've ever been. And I think the biggest fear was, what if this deal, what if this doesn't work? What if treatment doesn't work down here? Spent 28 days there, tried to do the best I could. Came back here and I got out April 30th, which was a Monday, so that Monday night I came and I picked up a 30-day chip here. That was the first 30-day chip I had ever gotten. 2 weeks out of treatment, I'm going out Youngs Road where I do all my work. There's a gas station out there on Route 1. I used to buy my beer. I pulled in and bought a 6-pack. 2 weeks out of treatment. 2 weeks later, I did the same thing. I drank twice that first month out of treatment. I didn't want to drink. I still didn't know how not to drink. I couldn't live with the drinking anymore, and I couldn't live without it. I was just in a bad place. Sunday afternoon, May the 30th, I made a phone call. two guys came to see me on a Sunday afternoon. I can promise you Steve and Daniel had more important things to come and talk to me about my drinking. But they came. They came on that Sunday afternoon. Why that was different than any other times, I don't know. Maybe that word surrender maybe finally hit me between the eyes 100%. I don't know. But I'll be grateful for you guys for coming and doing that Sunday afternoon. Like I said, I know y'all had better things to do than come talk to me. Of course, Marianne tried to put her 2 cents in. She was politely asked to leave the room, which was needed. And I just struggled. And like I said, when I came here, I didn't want to quit drinking. I couldn't imagine life without it. The book talks about that. I just couldn't imagine life without drinking. I just couldn't imagine I would spend 46 years of my life drinking every day and have that taken away. Boy, it was tough. It was hard. But slowly, the one constant I did, I kept coming back to the meetings, even though I didn't like the meetings early on. I didn't like them after I got sober. It took quite a while till I remember asking Harold, I don't know how long I had been sober, but I was asking him, God, Harold, it seems like all I do is come to meetings. And he said, Brad, there's going to come a time when you're going to start coming to meetings because you want to, not because you have to. And I don't know when that happened, but that happened sometime, a couple years sober, I think. I come to meetings today because I want to. Now I think I have to be here. I think if I quit coming, I'm going to drink again. No doubt in my mind about that. But I just tried to hang in there one day at a time. I'll tell you, it was for a year. It was the first thing I thought about when I woke up, and the last thing I thought about when I went to bed. I wanted to drink so bad. I missed it so bad. But what happened, and I don't know if it was in that first year or maybe that second year, my sponsor started taking me. I remember he took me up to back. We used to go to the jail in Carthage. He took me up there. So, my God, what an experience that was. I'd never been inside a jail before. Started sometime, I hadn't been sober very long, we started going down to this colony on Friday nights, taking a meeting down there to the guys. I'll tell you a story. I can remember sitting there when I was going through treatment at that place. There's a couple guys from Laurinburg. There was an electrician and a dentist that used to come over every Friday night and talk to us. Talk to us about our drinking. And I can remember sitting there thinking, you guys got nothing better to do on a Friday night than come and talk to some drunks at a treatment center. I didn't understand that concept. Boy, I know what that's all about today. I'd have told you when I left that treatment center, I'll never step foot in here again. That obviously, by God's grace, is not the case. It's not the case. 2 years sober, and Dr. Clark and Bill Lyles, who were on the board down there, asked me to serve on the board of directors at that place. I mean, where'd that come from? Where did that come from? Who saw that coming? That used to be a little saying Steve's every time. Who saw that, my sobriety, who saw that coming? No one. But anyway, that was just a great experience. For 17 years, I was able to do that, and that was just God's gift, another one of God's many gifts that I've gotten in sobriety. Gosh, it was just a struggle. It was just a struggle to stay in these rooms and not drink. It was just a real struggle. By the grace of God, Marianne's Monday we celebrated our 29th wedding anniversary. Just so extremely grateful for her support over the years. She got sober in this place, not in here, but in Alcoholics Anonymous before we met. And she had 11 years sober when we met. She didn't go to meetings anymore. But we were married, I guess, 3 years. It was 1997, and every year we went down to St. Martin for a week vacation in the fall. We did that every year. And my idea of vacation, you know, we'd eat some breakfast and then we'd head off to the beach and stop at the little chicken place, and I'd get a case of little 7-ounce Heinekens. And this one, she said, "Will you get me a 6-pack of Miller Lite?" And I, in the back of my mind, I'm going, yes, yes. But I didn't realize what was about to happen the next 2 years of our lives. I was lucky to stay married. We were both drinking. We were both bad. She was really bad. I always tell people that. But luckily, she only stayed out there 2 years, and she just, you know, we talked about that afterwards. She got sober again in 1999, and she's been sober ever since. But she couldn't live with me with my drinking and her not drinking. She said our marriage isn't going to work. She told me that later on. She said I just couldn't live with you. I said I didn't know how to love you. She said you were just so unapproachable when you were drinking, and I had no idea how my drinking affected her and how our drinking affects family members. Just had no idea how I was hurting her. So I'm just grateful. You know, she supported me. She supported me from the very first day I came in here, and she knew my struggles. She didn't blame me, or she didn't get on me or give me a hard time, but she knew what I was going through, and we prayed together a lot. And you know, I wish I'd tell you the praying didn't work at that time, but it finally did. And I consider, I'll tell you, I have always, from the very beginning, I consider my sobriety an absolute gift from God. It's an absolute gift from God. It's a miracle. We talk about miracles. I heard that saying a lot when I first came in here. Don't leave until the miracle happens. And for anyone out there that's struggling, please, God, please don't leave until the miracle happens, because it can happen to every one of us, to any one of us at all. My voice is fading here a little bit. Gosh, we've been, my life's just really been blessed since I've gotten sober. Mary Ann and I we bought 10 acres of land back in the right before we got married, and we built a little 10-acre horse farm. Mary Ann does the horses. She's done the horses her whole life and is very, very successful at it. We have a beautiful little farm out there, 10 acres, right against the foundation. Darn thing's paid for. About 3 years ago, I got that bad boy paid off. What a blessing that is. Mary Ann, she's been showing the hunters and jumpers her whole life, and I've been able to, especially these last 2 years, I go with her occasionally out to Tryon. She's on the road, not as much as she used to be, but she's on the road 1 or 2 weeks a month. And the end of this month, she goes up to Philadelphia during the Devon Horse Show. She got inducted into the National Show Hunter Hall of Fame, which is the highest pinnacle in the hunter and jumper world. And you're nominated by your peers. It's not political. You're nominated by your peers. So she's going up there to be inducted into that National Show Hunter Hall of Fame, which is just, she's worked her butt off her whole life, and boy, there's no one that deserves it more than she does. We had a couple years, well, 1918, she was inducted in the Carolina Show Hunter Hall of Fame out of Tryon, and that was a really neat experience. But she's been blessed with good health. You know, we're both 68, and she still rides every stinking day. My prayers used to be that she win, win, win. My first prayer now is just, please God, keep her safe. Keep her safe. That's my number one prayer. And she's had a bunch of success. Last month she was out of Tryon 3 weeks last month. 2 weeks she won the big 20,000 Grand Prix, which was just amazing with our mare, with the horse that we own. So she's she's very worthy of that Hall of Fame place she's about to go in the end of the month, and I just couldn't be more happy for her. Our life's pretty good today. You know, I've had a few health issues here the last couple of years, but every time I want to get in the self-pity, which I do a lot, get in the self-pity pot, I need to remember that my problems aren't as bad as a lot of other people. My prayers are different now than they used to be. My prayers early on were, God, help me with this, help me with that. My prayers today are about other people first. Now, I'm going to ask God to help keep me sober that day, too. I've changed up my routine a little bit. I do this every couple of years. I used to read pages 86 through 88, and now last year or so, I read the first 3 steps every morning. I say the 3rd step prayer. I read step 6 and 7. I say the 7th step prayer, and then I read step 11. And then that's just a little sort of routine I do that sort of suits me right now, I think, and I do that every morning before I read my daily reflection every morning. I was taught to do all that stuff, to get on my knees and pray, and to read something out of the big book, read that daily reflection every day. I was taught to do that in the colony, and I'm pretty certain since I've gotten sober, I don't think I missed a morning of doing that. I'm scared not to do it. I'm scared not to do it because it works. So, God's blessed me, and not only with my sobriety, which He has, but with a lot of other things. Grateful to be a part of this home group. This home group is always. I was thinking, I don't think a day goes by that I don't think of Wallace and Tom. I'm every single day. Today I was thinking about our friend Reeves Kelly, Doug Smith, RG, who is some of the early members that used to come here that were important to me. Maybe I didn't realize at the time, but were important and had something to do with my sobriety. I was just thinking about all of them today. So I appreciate this group. I appreciate my sponsor, who I'm not as current with as I should be. I'm going to be honest about that. I don't do as much here as I probably should. But one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to keep coming back. So thanks.